No, that was a little late. I don't know if we're going to get through now. Good luck with that.
These are
Good luck.
quite sweaty.
You're sweaty.
I am.
I saw you
These
sweaty.
headphones are not breathable.
Oh my God. All I hear is complaining.
I know.
My earrings are like digging into me right now.
Mine too, honey.
Oh my God.
Well, look.
Both of you? Really? Both of you. Now, you move a little bit this way. You move a little bit this way.
Do I have to?
Yeah, you can sit on your lap if you want, but that's all right. That's what we're going for. We're on the air. Oh my God.
Look at that. Oh, yeah. Ta-da.
All right, let me record this.
For posterity. Behave.
I don't know if I want to call this clown school or not, but David Blackmore's here. It's the triumphant return of David Blackmore. Some were saying that Harrison Ford took his place. But
well, yeah.
It's true. This is Harrison Ford without the makeup and the professional photographers.
There's many things I could say, but you've put us on Facebook Live. So
I have.
do that.
That was my plan all along. We are on Facebook Live. Yes. Welcome. This is the 6th day seminar Saturday of Go Whiskey Week.
Awesome.
Right? David, I have it in here. What did you want to call this today?
Once upon a time at Glenmorangie.
Once upon a time at Glenmorangie.
Glenmorangie.
I said it exactly the way you said it. With David Blackmore.
That's it.
And so, June.
Yes.
June's down there. I am also here.
I'm David's sidekick today.
My colleague.
I thought it was the other way around, but we'll go with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
So enough of this tomfoolery.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have a few whiskeys to taste today.
We do definitely have a few whiskeys to taste today. And we probably should get going on that.
Yep.
A great lineup.
This is an unbelievable lineup. I mean, I don't even want to waste my time talking to you, David, today, because I have so much whiskey to get to.
You're speaking to my wife.
Yes, exactly. I have met Rose is a fantastic woman. Leave her alone. All right. So let's start. Let's just, you want to just jump right in? Or do you want to show your film?
Well,
what do you want to do?
You want to jump straight in. I just wanted to
what do you want to do?
I knew if I turned up here having all the Harrison Ford stuff coming around, you at some point, within about 30 seconds, were going to give me shit about the Harrison Ford.
I already did.
So I put it up on the slide immediately. So
that was the only reason I did, because you put it up on the slide.
No, you were going to.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Anyway, if you hadn't noticed, we have Harrison Ford. He likes our whiskey apparently, so that's good.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, okay. What you want to play it?
Well, why not? I mean,
okay.
We paid for it.
Yeah.
We probably play it. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Let's make sure we get enough sound on this thing. I think we should, but where's the?
I got some behind the scenes photos too. There's a great one where Dr. Bill is being completely obscured by a bottle that Harrison's holding. I put that one in especially to piss him off. Anyway,
you know it's on Facebook Live, right?
No.
Okay.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, Derek. It's talk. That's it. Pretty look, Scott. But I'm not doing all that action that they want. I will sit by the fire and drink amazing smooth Glenmorangie single malt whiskey. Harrison Ford. Here I come. Top of the mountain. Bagpipe player. What in the world? Glenmorangie, single malt Scotch whiskey.
It's my favorite thing. There you go. Anyway. And yeah. How do I get that off here?
$2.2 million.
It was more than that. Anyway, I have no idea how to stop it now.
You know what I'll do?
Next slide.
Oh, you want a slide?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Excellent. All right.
Let's
get a next slide.
I can't stop it. There we go. All right. There we go.
Oh, okay. Oh, here we go.
Some serious stuff.
Oh, geez. I didn't know we were getting serious.
A couple of things about that.
All right.
One of them is I love the fact that they use the word smooth just to piss everyone off. It's absolutely intentional.
Silky would have been better.
Yeah. And all of this so far, everything that we've kind of launched so far is actually kind of meant to be the behind the scenes thing.
Yeah.
The actual finished, polished thing is even more hilarious, but you'll have to wait for the second half of the year to see that. It's pretty good.
Really a part two?
Yeah.
Really?
Two.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was actually, there was a 50-50 chance that 2 days ago I was going to be flown to LA to do a tasting for Mr. Harrison. And it didn't happen.
And here he is,
Yeah,
folks,
I
in
know.
all his
But I was
glory.
going to fly straight from there to here.
To here? Really?
Regale you with stories. And then they sent Gillian McDonald instead because she makes the whiskey and I just drink it.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's probably a smart move on their
Yeah.
part.
So anyway, we've had getting it back to reality.
Mhm.
Harrison, brilliant. Love the fact he's involved with the brand. But this is the guy, completely unknown. This was our founder, William Matheson. He looks pretty miserable, doesn't he? And I wanted to show you just because Once Upon a Time in Scotland, the campaign name, Once Upon a Time at Glenmorangie, I wanted to show you a few pictures of beautiful Scotland. And that's a pretty beautiful picture. I'm quite proud of that. Took it myself. I know there's a photographer in the room. He's going, that's shit. There we go. It's good. Thanks.
He just made you feel so
That-
good.
That is a picture of a church, and obviously just between Glenmorangie and Balblair.
Okay.
And I took that myself. And as we get closer, there's
We've established that.
there's a headstone. And this is actually
Oh,
William
that's good.
Matheson and his wife's gravestone. So we didn't know where it was for the longest time. But Dan Kroll, if you know Dan, he is even more geeky about whiskey than me.
Yes.
We found his gravestone. But anyway, there's a little bit of reality of like where the guy himself, the man who founded Glenmorangie. And it's just a nice picture I took of the Cadwell Fields out by
I've been there.
It's nice, right?
Nice.
And then that's the last one of my holiday snaps for today. That is a nice picture of beautiful Scotland. I'm in that photo. Can you see me?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
My shadow.
You're sort of excited, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a little excited.
Oh, you're not laying down. Okay. That explains a lot.
Very good. Very fun.
Turn what?
Can't hear me? That's probably a good thing.
All right. Try it now. Can you hear him now? Go ahead. Say
Can you
something.
hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. All right. We're right here. So if the first two rows can't hear me, turn up your hearing aids. All right. Because we're right here. So that should have been.
Who's this guy?
That's Dr.
That's
Bill
Dr.
Lumsden.
Bill. So that's the last of the people that I'm going to show you.
All right.
Um,
Sounds good.
There's a picture that since the last time I was here, last time I wouldn't have been able to show you that picture. Those are the stills in our lighthouse, experimental still house. And that was taken by me back in 2021, sometime pretty much in the depths of COVID when we did manage to travel though. That's the still house. And if anyone can tell me some of the geeky differences on this, can no one hear us? He's disappeared off.
can hear it.
That's okay.
It's going to start getting.
Okay. So if anyone can tell me some of the weird and wonderful things they can spot in that picture, you get an extra dram. Anything? No? The
It's
still,
not by the ocean. I don't
so-
think
no,
that's
the
not
still,
that.
first of all, the still in the foreground here, that one. Where am I going? This one here. You notice there's actually a jacket on it. There's a water cooling jacket on the whole neck of the still. So one of the things Bill can do now is play around with heating or cooling the neck of the still to virtually create an even taller still or a much shorter still, kind of. So there's other things on there as well. You can just about pick out maybe that there's 3 condensers. One of them is made of stainless steel, which is a little funky as well. But lots of fun bells and whistles in Dr. Bill's vanity project. Sorry, experimental distillery. Yes, and his office is on the roof of it, with a little glass window looking down on the stills. It's like sort of Bond villain lair type of thing going on.
He just wants to make sure you're working.
Yes. So the tall stills. I don't need to go through all this. There's a picture of me rolling some barrels.
Nice.
Now, I did put this one in for fun because I can't tell you what's going on there, but that is
Hijinks.
hijinks. This was Dan Kroll and myself were invited by Dr. Bill to go and run the first ever full production experiment at the Lighthouse. And it will be becoming 3-year-old, therefore legal Scotch whiskey in about a week and a half. So I'm hoping to get back and see if it's any good. Be interesting. You go. So just a few bits and bobs. Then we can get on to the real
You want to get on to the
job
real
of the
tasting?
day.
Our whiskeys.
Drinking the whiskeys.
All right. So we have before you today, it's 1 through 8. We have 8 whiskeys to get to. The first one is the Triple Cask Reserve.
It is, yes. So this is our new non-A statement Glenmorangie. We'll talk a bit more about why we have this product when we get to the changes that have happened to the original, which are fairly obvious in front of you, actually. But Triple Cask Reserve is our Dr. Bill's attempt to make a more approachable, both in terms of flavor profile and price point, single malt, to really try and grab new people into the category of single malt, maybe from American whiskey, but also, of course, into the Glenmorangie range. So there are some classic Glenmorangie notes in there, but there's a few things that are a bit more maybe familiar to a American whiskey drinker. 3 Triple Cask Reserve, you're right. You got it. 3 different types of casks used. Amazing. So classic.
Self-explanatory almost,
amazing.
right? Yeah.
Right. Why am I here? I don't know.
Because we missed you. That's why you're here.
Don't miss me.
I did. I missed you very much.
So classic ex-bourbon cask matured Glenmorangie, classic profile, something that you'd be familiar with from something like Glenmorangie Original. That's one component of this whiskey. There's some Glenmorangie fully matured in new charred oak casks, which will give us something a little different, maybe a little bit more body. And finally, some Glenmorangie fully matured in rye casks, giving potentially something a little bit more spicy in there as well. And I think you really notice that spiciness on the finish out of the 3. So hopefully still in the Glenmorangie wheelhouse, still kind of just
You get that
tasty.
spice. You get that spice, but there's also something else going on at the end that's quite interesting. It's almost it might also even they get that spice, but almost getting like a candy or maybe like a tangerine or something like that too.
Glenmorangie's, I mean, not just with the name Glenmorangie rhyming with orangey. Totally by chance, Glenmorangie has a lot of these citrus orange notes, stone fruit notes in our spirits intrinsically, and it seems to come through in different ways as the whiskey matures. But it's definitely in the Triple Cask Reserve. You're absolutely right. There's that kind of candied orange, I think.
Yeah,
Something like
it's really
that going
cool.
on. So
It's really good. I like that one.
any shout outs from the room? Anything you're picking up that hasn't been mentioned? Particular flavors?
I'm getting a lot of spices, like on the herbal route, more like gentian root, a little bit of ginseng towards the
Nice.
taste.
It's maybe a bit more drying on the finish than something like the Glenmorangie Original, than our classic. I was about to say our classic 10-year-old, but no longer. So hopefully a good, accessible, certainly for someone who's like, I don't know, even sort of $40 a bottle, if you're not into single malt, is a bit like, I
Right.
could do other things with that.
Right.
We're getting into a much more approachable price point here. So.
Okay. Yeah, we don't believe it or not, this just came in. I don't know if we're getting a lot of this or not. I don't understand why, but we got some, but they were like, I ordered another case and I couldn't get another case. I'm
So
like,
for the
"What's going-"
state of
Massachusetts, we have one case and you're drinking one of them anyway.
that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Drinking one of
to
the
me.
bottles.
I'll
right?
get you more.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. I should mention that June is a troubleshooter.
Yes. I'm on the private client team, so we hold a totally separate inventory than anybody else, like outside of the distributors in the States, and then we get to where it needs to be.
And so he's a troubleshooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
A
is
good
why
one,
we have
too.
like
He-
bottles
good
like
one,
this
too.
today.
He also
to taste.
brings all the.
Yeah, he brings some goodies
yeah,
for you
yeah,
the
guys
goodies,
today
all the
too.
toys.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very
Thank you
much. Now we did this one where you guys would all sort of buy into this this tasting because we are doing some rather big whiskeys that are hard to get and stuff like that with the 12. But this is basically the new 12 replacing the 10, and this one is now pretty much all the way through in Massachusetts. Now we don't have, there's no more 10.
So it's funny. I spent my now 20 years working on Glenmorangie, hearing from Dr. Bill that it's perfect at 10, and it's perfect at 10. I'll never change it. Over my dead body, I'll never change it.
He's still alive, isn't he?
And here we are.
He's trying to tell us
Here we
something.
are. So I guess, I mean, there's a couple of things there. I've noticed it, sadly. We all know that age statements don't necessarily correlate to quality, but not everybody who drinks Scotch whiskey are like the 50-odd people in this room, unfortunately. And a lot of kind of part-time single malt drinkers do equate age statements to quality. And certainly people who are buying single malt as a gift for somebody and they're not drinkers of it at all, they definitely equate age to quality. And we were always up against it, against the kind of direct competitor 12-year-olds being a 10-year-old. And I still think it was the right thing at the time to keep it as a 10, keep the liquid as good as it could be. A couple of things have happened. We've got stock that would allow us now to go to a 12. And for a little while, the 10 was kind of a bit overaged anyway. Remember, it's only the
Yeah, I mean, it said 10, but I don't think it wasn't 10.
it's the age of the
It was over
younger
10.
stock for sure.
Yeah.
And the first time I tried the original 12 that you have in those in front of you now, the first thing I said to Dr. Bill was, it reminds me of some of the Glenmorangie 10-year-old bottles I had that were bottled back in the 80s. And he laughed straight away and he was like, you know why that is? Because the 10 in the 80s was all at least 12 years old. So
Yeah, because we sort of had, at that point, you had a little bit of what was called the whiskey lake.
there's that, yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, you know, we've all seen how the whiskey industry is right now. We've got a little bit more liquid. We can do it. Why not put
Why
it on
not do it?
Why not put it on
Well, the other
label?
part of this, the other part of that is, and I understand the whole, like, you know, it's ready when it's ready.
Yeah.
If 10 is showing, that's when we should be showing. But it is a luxury brand. I mean, the status of the distillery and the whiskey is sort of transcends just what it
guess,
is. So,
yeah.
I mean, it is sort of that gives it that luxury sort of feel to it and stuff like that. And I don't think if you hadn't upped the age of the 10, I think you almost had to have a solid 12 that
Yeah.
was not finished, that was just a solid 12. So you really have room on the shelf for a 10 and a 12. You have to make a decision.
Yeah, I think so. So well, funny say that. Right now, we do have 2 12s on the shelf, don't we?
Well, yes, and you actually have 3, but that's
for now.
for now.
For now.
Oh,
Um,
is that
I better keep my mouth
foreshadowing?
shut. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you in trouble
never
for that
know.
one? 'Cause that-
Probably in trouble for that.
probably in trouble
already.
for even saying that.
But so you know, getting back to the 12, Bill was a bit concerned, and he wanted to make sure that he could make sure that the whiskey stays as close to what you've known for decades as possible. And I think he's done a pretty good job.
I think it's
spot
mean,
on, really.
It's spot on, because really the only difference you were really talking about is like really not 2 years, it's 1 year.
Yeah, if that. And,
Yeah,
and
because you and I had talked about this before, about the fact that 10 wasn't really 10 anymore anyways, because you had some older stock and it was making its way into the 10.
And I think also when we went from the old packaging to the kind of calling it the original, Bill had tweaked that recipe, first and second fill ex bourbon cask, but tweaked it a little bit more heavily onto the first fill to dial up the kind of vanilla notes. All he's done here, I think, is dial it back a bit to compensate for the extra age.
Okay.
So
What do you guys
it's
think of the
pretty much
12?
same thing. That's good.
I think it's good. I think it's just solid. It's a solid whiskey. I mean, you know, it's what it's supposed to be.
The worst thing we could have done was to stop it being that classic, recognizable Glenmorangie original. And I think it absolutely is that. If anything, it's maybe got a slightly longer finish, which is probably a good thing. But it's still that classic, recognizable Glenmorangie original. You can debate whether you like that style.
You haven't fucked it
But
up.
we haven't fucked it up, thankfully. Yes.
I mean,
Still-
I think but
still
you know
what it
what's so funny? That runs so true for the entire industry. If you talk to any of like distillery managers and stuff, like everybody talks about being a steward of the brand and doing certain things, and like even even the distillery manager and stuff like that, it's supposed to come off consistent. It basically comes down to one phrase: don't fuck it
Don't
up.
fuck it up. Yeah, it's pretty much.
It really does. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's the bones of it.
And people, the industry, the timescales in our industry are longer than most people's lifetimes, and certainly their careers. It's pretty amazing. Even someone like Dr. Bill, who's been around forever, it's his 30th anniversary starting with the Glenmorangie Company on February 20th, just passed. So, but still, I mean, 30 years is in the time scale of Glenmorangie Distillery is gone next.
He's only made the 10 3 times.
He's only made the 10 3
times, right? I've been responsible for it. Right.
It's like what?
Right. Right.
It's
So
kind of crazy.
It's sort of one of those type of things. Okay. Now I want you to explain to me something. Okay. So this is the next one we're gonna do is the 18.
Yeah,
Now we had a rebranding of that.
we did.
But has that really changed? Because I was okay, it hasn't. Because I'm like, I don't taste the difference.
No, it's exactly the
It's
same.
exactly
It's
the same.
exactly
Okay,
the same
all right.
liquid. I think somebody in marketing went, oh, we haven't tinkered with the 18-year-old packaging for a while. Oh, better
But
do
the way
that.
it was
Better
done and
do
the way
that.
the way it was done and the way it was presented, it made me think that the
I don't. I see.
Infinita?
Infinita or
Infinita? Is that like infinitum?
infinitum? Yes.
Infinita?
It's infinitely delicious.
Ah, there you go. But like it threw it off because the other one it said what was the other-
Extremely rare.
Rare, right?
yeah.
So I was like, oh, is this a different? Have they gone a different direction? And then I tasted it and I was like, not that I can tell.
I am absolutely delighted to tell you it's exactly the same liquid because the
They
Glenmorangie.
mess with the box so you can't shut it.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'll fix it. I promise. I'll fix it. Okay.
I'm seriously delighted that the 18 hasn't changed in terms of the liquid because it has always been my favorite, maybe my favorite whiskey on the planet. I know that's a very biased and grand statement, but
That's a bold statement there, Cotton. Let's see how that works out for him.
everybody asks you if you're in this industry for any length of time, you will have been asked a million times, what's your favorite whiskey? And usually the answer is, well, I don't know, like it changes from minute to minute, from day to day. If you're really into it, that's probably the most legit answer. But if I was asked if you had to pick one bottle of whiskey with a gun to your head and that was it, your last bottle, or if you were stuck on a desert island and you knew you'd never get off, you'd choose one bottle. That's it.
This is this whiskey also has the distinction of one of those things in my line of work where I'm constantly people want to know they're buying gifts, especially. All right, they're buying something for somebody, and they have no idea. They can't give me a brand that they drink. They can't. They're pretty sure it's single malt Scotch. I mean, it's just this is one of the whiskeys that I go to because here's the basic thing with this. If you are a serious single malt Scotch drinker, you can enjoy this. If you're not a serious single malt Scotch drinker, you can still enjoy this. There's nothing there that it is. Well, maybe that's why they were going for it. Infinitely appealable to a vast group of people.
I have only ever once had somebody tell me they didn't like the Glenmorangie 18, and I was doing an in-store tasting somewhere in the Midwest, and I'd had precisely nobody all day. I just hi, and this
Hi, I'm David Blackmore.
this old lady came in with a shopping cart, and she went past once, and I said, no, doesn't want. Came past again. Oh, go on then. Takes a sip and goes, oh, yeah, like almost spits it out and heads off. And I look in her cart and it's like full of massive, the biggest handles of the cheapest vodka. And I thought, that's okay. It's okay. I don't.
I can
care
live.
If you,
You know what?
care if you hate it.
I will be able to sleep
I
tonight.
can absolutely deal with
That's
that.
it. Right. But it is one of those type of things where people always ask us, like, they're looking for something for a gift. It does look great. It tastes great. And again, it's 18 years old. I mean, these are all buzzwords, but the real cool part of it is it lives up to all of those type of things.
For me, there aren't many single malts that, as you get to this sort of age and beyond, there aren't many single malts that I've ever tasted that that not only maintain this lightness of touch, this lovely floral tropical fruit note, but actually it seems to have developed more over time. I can think of a couple. I can think of some of the legendary old Blackmores that I've tasted that just have this incredible tropical fruit note. I'm trying to think now, I'm stumbling. Maybe some Linkwoods I've had that have had this thing in them. But by and large,
Even at 18, it's still vibrant.
yeah, but by and large, you're looking at spending many multiples of what that costs you.
Right. No, you're right.
You know, for a Bowmore white label or whatever.
That's right.
You know, so to get that in something that is pretty readily available at a pretty reasonable price point, to get this lovely tropical fruit note, that's the other reason it would be my desert island dram, because it kind of tastes like a tropical island.
Tropical
to me,
island.
so.
You and the coconuts would be very happy together. It wasn't extremely rare, right? Exactly. Then it changed the name.
And the
Okay.
funny thing is, the tasting notes I've got here were the latest, the most recently written ones, and I fundamentally disagree.
Yeah.
With them.
I thought this was for a different
That's
whiskey.
not. Oh dear, what's coming?
That's not going to show on the camera, but you can get it up there. So that if you hurt Angie, I'm going to kill you.
Angie.
What are you doing? Do not hurt. So what they're doing that you cannot see on camera right now is they are moving our giraffe, our Glenmorangie giraffe, whose name is Angie, into position. And this is only. By the way, they only moved it up to the front to tick off David.
I love Angie. She's great.
Well, we had a naming contest for her.
Yeah. Well, we had Geraldine at the distillery.
Is that what yours was, Geraldine?
Geraldine.
Everybody was supposed to name their giraffe because they weren't. These
Geraldine
weren't
Bottle.
everywhere, but
Yeah.
this one.
I never even noticed that. That's a good point.
What's the matter?
The staff member for this, well, we're jumping ahead, but this bottle, I don't know who she was, but she was Geraldine.
Geraldine. And
Yeah,
then
Geraldine.
that's
Got the bottle.
the giraffe. No, that's Angie.
Anyway,
So that's what we went.
Like it. Very cool.
So we'll get a picture of that after.
The
so
one
everybody can
thing
see it.
I'd say about the 18 is, I think I'm a big advocate, and you drink the whiskey however you want to drink it. If you want to put ice in it, I actually don't care anymore. No, but not in a negative,
Not, he
not
had
in a
one,
negative way.
David, I missed the days when you once cared. But now, no more.
They chased you out to the
Sell
car park if you
Yeah.
put water, ice in my.
You would
whiskey.
never have caught me.
It's
Too
probably true,
slow
yeah.
and old, decrepit.
I actually think these days, if it puts a smile on your face, that's it.
That's right.
If you
We
enjoy
bet you
it,
know what?
go
This
for
is the other side of COVID, by the
it.
way.
Yeah.
This is the other side of staying in. Whatever makes you happy, just freaking do it. Don't
Yeah,
worry about
yeah,
it. What other people think, right?
100%.
All right.
Life's too short.
Except running through the car park like you just mentioned, naked or something. Then don't do that because
Chasing-
that's all gonna. Yeah, that's all
Chasing
gonna.
you, clubbing you with
Yeah,
the head of a
Yeah,
giraffe.
yeah, with the giraffe.
That would be fun.
If ever I
Oh.
saw a giraffe, I would take I don't care where it was. I was in a toy store. I was wherever it was. If there was a giraffe pictured or even thing, I would take a picture of it and send it to David, to the point where he was like, "Please stop
Stop
sending
it.
me
Stop
pictures
it."
of giraffes."
But
I go, but it's all about you. It's all about the distillery. He
The
goes,
thing is,
stop. I don't know where marketing.
back in the day when I was doing a lot of international travel, it was hard enough with the language differences in some parts of the world to explain Glenmorangie and like simultaneous translation, all the rest of it. And then I had to explain that no, we don't actually have giraffes in Scotland, but yes, it is
It's the size of the
It's just-
still.
coldest, most miserable giraffe in the world.
true.
Shivering up in the Highlands. What am I doing here?
It's not a giraffe. It's a haggis. It's a haggis. It's a
Yeah,
mutated
It's
haggis.
very mutated.
All right. So
Right.
okay. So I got to tell everybody for the next two,
Yeah.
because I don't want them to jump ahead, although some of them might have. For the next two, we're gonna do the Signet against the Signet Reserve.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get to
Yeah.
compare compare and contrast the two.
And this was a last minute addition. There's going to
Yeah.
be a couple of last minute additions. So I don't know if
Megazone
Megazone-
was very kind enough to throw us the Signet,
Signet.
the regular
The
Signet,
regular
so we could
Signet.
do against the Reserve, which just came in.
So yeah, let's. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. The only thing to show here is that is a very atmospheric picture of one of the classic stills in the main still house. So they look broadly the same, but there are a few differences. Okay, let's get stuck right in. I'm going to
So-
put that picture up just so that we know what roughly we're tasting. But
Yeah.
we're going to taste the Signet before we taste this Signet Reserve. Okay.
All right. So number
Um,
3 is the Signet.
Four.
4? Oh, I'm way behind. Sorry. 4 and 5. Sorry, man. Calm down. It's all right. It's only whiskey. We'll drink it.
Children and animals, things you're not supposed to work with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got both of them with me. It's a 2 for 1.
Exactly. So how immediately Signet on the nose is just a whole different thing. And
Chocolate nub.
it always kind of I
The
really
nibs.
I
like
love
chocolate
Signet,
nibs.
but I also wonder if somebody had presented that sample of Signet to me 20 years ago before it was launched, imagine that, and I didn't know what it was, I don't think I'd have picked it out as a Glenmorangie. That's the thing. So it's awesome, but it's so not typical Glenmorangie. It's completely different. It's delicious in its own way. Shall we nose them side by side and then taste them? What's everyone going to do? I think that might be fun. So that's nosing 4 and 5. 4 being Signet, 5 being Signet Reserve. I haven't done this before, so I get more coffee on Signet than Signet Reserve.
Yeah.
Quite a lot more. Signet Reserve.
Let's look at it's even got that chocolate note. The Signet does.
There's a little bit more of this like
Yes.
figgy note to the Signet
Signet
Reserve.
Reserve, yeah.
A little bit like this almost red fruit driven.
Yep. Yep. There's something much darker, isn't it? Yeah. Now, the caveat there is that Signet Reserve, we have only bottled one bottling run of. Signet has been bottled for 10 years, at least now, I think, and lots of small runs. So, and there has been a bit of fluctuation here and there, batch to batch of Signet. So just because this Signet is nosing and tasting quite different from this Signet Reserve in certain ways, you may not always get the same.
Your results at home may vary.
Yes, that's it.
All right.
So cheers. Let's have a little sip of Signet.
Yeah, Dr. Rachel Berry was here this weekend. She did work on Signet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Signet's quite drying. Dr. Bill always describes it as like sizzling spices on a like dry spices in a frying pan, almost like heating them up and they're crackling like that. There's definitely cocoa powder. I wouldn't say it was necessarily chocolate, but it's more like literally unsweetened cocoa powder being kind of sprinkled on your tongue, something like that.
What are those things? Nib? Is it a nib?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's cocoa nibs.
Cocoa
Yeah.
nib? That's
Yeah.
what I get
Yeah.
on this one.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Cacao. Cacao. No, it's cacao. It's
Cars?
cars.
In the same way as I personally wouldn't ever recommend putting ice in my 18-year-old, because the whole thing with the 18, and sorry, I should have said this, going back briefly to the 18, it's not just the 10, now the 12, X number of years further aged. If we had done that, Bill was worried that the 18 would just have this overly kind of tannic finish from some of the oak, from the American oak.
Too long in the same barrel, like it wasn't a neutral barrel.
Yeah.
It was still given influence.
So the 18 is actually, all of it does 15 years in American oak ex-bourbon casks. And at that point, we take 30% out of the American oak and finish for 3 years in Oloroso sherry, leaving 70% to carry on as it is. And then we merge the two styles back together. And that gives us a small 30% that is fairly heavily sherried. And it's not there when we combine it back to give you the sense of a sherried whiskey. It's more to kind of polish off any of the tannic excesses of the white oak and allow the best of the white oak to kind of shine through. And that's why, for me, where you get all that lovely.
You would get over
fruit.
wood spice. Is that what you were
Yeah,
worried about?
yeah.
Like over wood spice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for me, putting ice in the 18 immediately undoes everything Bill was striving to
Oh, yeah,
combat.
yeah.
Whereas if I was going to recommend ice for any single malt, Signet would be the one. And back in the day when I was a complete ice,
Fanatic.
fanatic,
Ice
anti-ice fanatic,
fanatic.
Bill himself forced me to drink Signet on a large ice cube. And I won't repeat the words he said, but something like, drink that fucking whiskey. Pretty much it.
You know, if I was
I
gonna,
made
if I
it.
if I had a recorder at the time, I bet you that's exactly what he said.
It was, I totally learned something that day because the one whiskey that I prefer to drink on an ice cube is Signet. There you go. It mellows it. It makes it for me a bit more complex. Certainly, you can drink a bit more of it. If that's a good thing. I don't know.
It's always a good thing.
Always a
Let me
good
ask.
thing.
Let me ask you a question though. So are we saying buy to Signet, and now it's going forward? It's just going to be Signet Reserve.
No, they're both going to exist.
They're both going to exist.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good. Good to know.
So Signet Reserve is essentially taking the same complex recipe that Signet is, which involves high roast chocolate malted barley as part of the, I guess to steal a phrase, steal a term, mash bill. It's using designer American white oak casks, the sort of casks we use for Astar. It's using new charred oak casks. It's using a whole bunch of other bits and pieces in there as well that Bill doesn't really talk about. So we take that Signet Reserve is basically taking that recipe and then for about 12 months, a little bit longer, I think 18 months actually, finishing the recipe in Pedro Jimenez sherry casks. So just giving it a richer.
You know what's cool though? It's not. I don't think I would have just pegged it that way. I mean, you're just drinking it. Wouldn't say, oh, well, they just added. You know, I mean, like some stuff you can just tell. Oh, they added Pedro Jimenez, and they rounded out the edges, and you got this fruit bomb, and c'est la vie. But was something else that we had talked about earlier is that sometimes, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. It equals 3, which is something totally different than putting the two parts together.
I know that there are at least 5 other component parts to Signet that Bill won't talk about. He's let that slip and he won't say what they are.
But I'm just saying, if you just take the Signet and that's all you're
Yeah.
doing to it,
Yeah.
I don't think I would have just immediately, would anybody just gone like, oh, Pedro Jimenez, right? I don't think I know there's plenty of people with palate way above my pay grade, but I wouldn't have just jumped on that.
But as Jun said, it's got this kind of almost like a red fruit note coming through that you wouldn't expect from PX. So yeah. Makes me wonder whether he's actually been dabbling in some red wine casks in there. But
I also think
I wouldn't put it past him, but like I said,
there's a little bit of acidity to this one as well.
Yeah.
A little bit of sweetness.
What do you guys think? Just out of curiosity, it doesn't, not here.
I want to hear this.
Between the two, Signet Reserve. Damn.
Oh, it's pretty
I think Signet may have it by a nose,
60-40.
Signet
by a
about 3
giraffe's
people.
neck. No, by
By a giraffe's nostril.
nostril. I'm just curious but it is pretty divided. I mean, I thought it would just go one way, really, to be honest with you, and that's good. What's that?
Oh, now he's just showing off. Signet Ristretto was available in Seoul Incheon Airport in South Korea, for about a year, 6 months before COVID hit.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. We launched a whiskey into travel retail right as COVID hit.
Yeah. All those people traveling by plane. Oh, damn it.
Seriously.
Sorry.
And
That didn't work.
Bill, if you're watching,
Thank
you did promise me a bottle about 3 years ago.
There's during what we're doing right now, there's going to be 3 times that he wishes that Bill was not watching at all. And then maybe 1 or 2 only like that, where Bill owes him something that he hopes he's watching. And then Bill's going to say, remember that bottle I promised you? And he said, yeah, after that, you're not getting it.
Yeah, it's probably true. Very true.
There's a reason why the company sent me with David.
No, thanks. Yeah. It's got the cattle prod.
Yeah. June
Bill's currently on
June
on
will be there.
Bill's on vacation. Bora Bora.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, for a minute, I thought you were going to say Boston.
No, not Boston.
No. Why would you come here in,
No.
in
Yeah.
March? Yeah.
I was taking photos of the kind of massive mountains of snow out there. Good fun.
They've all melted, dude.
Is
That's
that-
not even like close to what we had. I mean, we've had warm weather and rain. Half this stuff is melted away. Next time you have snow in Texas, why don't you send me some pictures?
We
Because I
did
know
that-
you.
we
I know
have
you
snow.
did.
We
know you
had,
did.
we had snow and they canceled the schools for like.
Yeah, I was like that myself.
Snow.
We don't know how to drive in
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah.
You don't have any like Subarus out there or anything like that? It's got all-wheel drive. All those trucks, no one can drive around.
No. Oh,
No? You get your gun rack in the back of your truck, don't you?
No.
Oh, I thought you did.
No.
Thought you did. I'm sorry. I
No.
thought you said you were going to do that. I'm sorry. All right.
How'd
So
that happen
now
yet?
we're going to move on. I'm just getting myself in bigger trouble and bigger
You
trouble.
are.
Now we're going to move on
Right.
to actually we're moving on to sort of
Yeah.
June's neck of the woods
We
here.
are. So this is one of those. This is kind of the entry into the private client prestige world of Glenmorangie.
Yep,
right now,
exactly.
I guess. So Glenmorangie, going back to the 18, about a year or two ago, we did a limited edition 18. The liquid was exactly the same, but the bottle had this floral design on it, and that
Okay.
was the first time Dr. Bill had worked with Azuma
Oh, we
Makoto.
had those. Yeah, we had those.
So Azuma Makoto is this famous Japanese floral designer, I guess, who makes almost like sculptures out of flowers and moss, and it's a living sculpture, I guess. So he'd worked with him on that, and he'd met him out in Japan. It's not a surprise to anyone if you've met Bill that Japan's his favorite place on the planet, I think. So this is the second collaboration, and this time they felt it was, well, let's actually collaborate on the liquid rather than just the packaging. So this is a 23-year-old Glenmorangie that I have to say, I've always confidently said the 18 is my desert island ram. This is getting pretty close to my new, much more expensive desert island ram. It's got everything that I love about the 18 in spades in the 23 here. So
My nose is pretty
it's
good.
pretty. Let's have a nose, and I'll shut up for a bit. We're on 6, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 6. No, his nose is really nice.
I love all the like floral components, like that baby's breath, like white flowers,
Yeah.
orange blossom.
Man, that finish. Okay, talk about tangerine and the end.
Citrus, yeah.
So
Mid palate's sort of cool too. There's a couple cool things happen mid palate on that too. The finish, I get the tangerine and then I go into sweet. What's that? What's the name of the
it's
whiskey?
called Azuma Makoto 23-year-old.
Azuma Makoto 23. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
So this was the first time
Azuma
Bill's
What's that?
experimented with finishing Glenmorangie in, and you're better at pronouncing this, Merceau.
Merceau
Cask,
cask?
Merceau?
Yeah, yeah.
I always
So white burgundy.
white burgundy cask.
Merceau white burgundy cask.
Which he was quite surprised that it worked. I know that he'd played with Chardonnay casks in the past, even back from when we were pre-LVMH owned, when we were owned, well, we were family owned, but we had a relationship with Brown Foreman. There were some Napa Chardonnay casks that he'd played with, and
May I bring in what the difference is? Having some wine background too.
yeah,
The difference is when you're starting to deal with like California Chardonnays, they go for like that oak, that heavy oak, and you can also even in a lot of them, depending on whether we're getting it, dabble in the malolactic fermentation,
yeah,
where Marceau casks are Chardonnay are not like that at
yeah.
all. There's a lot more steel. There's a lot more nothing else but the wine speaking for itself. And I know this because I'm trying to get my wife doesn't like Chardonnays, and what she doesn't like is exactly what I just described with like California.
Okay.
But I've been sneaking in white wines. I've been sneaking in some of the French like white burgundies and some of the other ones in there for her to try, because it doesn't have that the components of the Chardonnay are so much different.
White burgundy is epic.
Yeah.
We actually have some Glenmo that's Glenmorangie
yeah.
that's aged
Hey.
in Portfolio casks as well.
Yeah,
And
kind of wild.
yeah, like some Grand Cru white.
Yeah,
burgundy.
well, you can send that to my way. I'd like to try some of that. That'd be awesome. Thank you very much. That's quite good.
Yeah. Pretty damn.
That doesn't suck. That's a New England, really good.
Really good.
It doesn't suck. We
Wicked
use a
good.
negative. No, we don't use wicked. No one uses wicked.
Really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Occasionally we will, but we use dark,
Dark.
wicked dark. But this is that we use negatives to describe positives. So
Very good.
yeah,
Very good.
That
Terrible.
doesn't, that's terrible.
Sucks.
That doesn't suck.
That
That's
is
really beautiful
pretty
and
amazing.
elegant. It really
So
is.
all these kind of orchid notes. It's incredibly
Yeah.
perfumed. Even the empty little plastic.
But you also
sample.
get even like a little bit of that, like not umami, but like a mushroomy type flavor, like
Really?
a white mushroom. Anybody else get that? Like
I'm not getting that, but
yeah, yeah. It's sort of like it. There's a savory component in there. Are you getting it? No, just me.
I'm getting more of the
No,
kind
like a
of
little bit.
waxy mouthfeel for
get that.
sure.
It's really nice. That's beautiful.
I got into a big liquid thing during COVID. I
I mean, what do you mean by thing?
was just
It's like
sitting
you
on
would
my
love.
couch. I was sitting on
You
my
would love?
couch for 2 years buying liquids on auction.
Liquid's great.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
All I
I'm not gonna
did.
fault you for it. But it's like a liquid thing. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, whatever kink you're into, whatever.
Well, that and lots of 70s blended Scotch whiskey bottles. Because that was the period when there was a tariff on single malt Scotch, but there was no tariff on blended. So, and no one was buying the 70s blends.
Yeah, but you know, in the
So
70s,
I
a
was.
lot of the 70s blends, though, even then, though, the component amount of single malt was pretty high.
It was,
You know what I
it was
mean?
great stuff.
Yeah.
I
A
tried-
lot of
tried
people
to-
don't understand that that's flipped. In blended Scotch, there were like more component of single malt than there was grain, and then at one point it went the other way.
I was working on
Economies.
trying to get as many sort of library bottles of some of the blended brands that the Glenmorangie company used to have as I could. So I was
I think I got a bottle of
Picking up
Hague
stuff.
upstairs. You want some one of those?
right. In the
An old bottle.
oh, not the blue one.
No, the old bottles of Hague. No, yeah, I'll show it to you. It's upstairs.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you my etchings later on.
And just so you guys know, we only brought about 700 bottles into the U.S. of this.
And it
So if
comes
you're
in
interested, let me know. I'll get you some pricing on this.
pretty
And
amazing stuff.
it doesn't really get released into the market unless you bump into me in the wild. So
Yeah.
Or I
Like-
call
like
or
that.
I call him.
Like I can't tell
Like,
you, I
yeah.
can't get that for you. He has to get that for you.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So what is the
Cool.
next one?
What were we going to do next?
What do you mean
We
we're
were
going to do
going
next?
to no. Well, are we going straight onto snake? Yes, we are going straight onto
Yeah.
snake. Okay, sorry, I just because we have another extra.
Oh yeah. No, we're going to do
Which
snake.
way
We're
round?
going to do
at the
snake
end.
first.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
do you want-
Year of the snake.
So we have been for how many years now? Have we been doing
I think we've been doing it for
Yes, 4
four
years.
zodiacs now. Yeah.
4 years old so far? So this is this year's
Yep.
year of the snake. Again, 23 years old.
Yep. And that
not-
was a specific reason for that. It's distilled in the year of the snake 2 cycles ago. So
Yep.
the cycle's every 12 years. It was distilled
2001.
24 years ago, but specifically bottled in the fall at 23 years old because the number 4 is unlucky in Chinese culture. So it's specifically bottled
We
at
miss it.
23 years old.
But yet, both in the year of the snake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
888 bottles because 8 is a lucky number.
Yes.
That just naturally happened. Amazing.
Listen, there was a lot more, but we had to drink it on our own.
We only brought 120 into the US.
The
I guess it's better than 88. Just to do it.
the whiskey is there's a large tranche of it that is fully American oak ex bourbon cask matured. There's a component that's finished in Amontillado sherry casks. This one,
Somebody get like a minty thing on the nose too.
where you often do with Glenmorangie,
Yeah.
you get this kind of
Eucalyptus out of
eucalyptus thing.
minty,
Yeah.
but it's really faint. It's light. It's really light.
It's on the tasting notes, menthol and honey.
No, on the
On the-
but on the nose? Oh no, on the finish.
But it will come
Well, I
through
get it on the
and
nose
stuff.
though. Intriguingly dry. How can you be intriguingly dry minerality?
I'm intrigued.
Are you? All right.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued.
I didn't know that about you. I won't tell.
And you're intrigued as well because you
I-
asked the question.
I won't tell. You're intrigued.
You're intrigued. You asked the question.
I was fortunate. June brought this to me. He had an open bottle and he stopped by and I got to try this. And I was like, wow, I really like this one a lot. Now, see on the finish though, that like what they're saying right there, that menthol, it's just sort of like one of those like cooling effects on your mouth. I don't think it really shows menthol, but it's got that like, you know what I mean? Like cooling thought.
I almost get like a sherbet kind of effervescence on the sides of my tongue. Was that just me?
That's just you.
That's just. I'll get my coat.
It's good though. What do you guys think of this one?
Mhm.
By the way, what did you think? What did you think of the one before it, the 23? Did you like that? That's really good, right?
I
Yeah.
really like the Zuma Makoto bottle.
Yeah, I do too. It's quite fantastic.
The two absolute standout whiskeys that Bill has been responsible for, in my mind, in the last 12 months, from Glenmorangie is the Zuma, just utterly amazing, and from Ardbeg is the Abyss.
Yeah.
And I'm pissed because I can't afford to buy either of them. Particularly the Abyss.
I'm going to tell you right now, both these here, this and the Snake. I mean, how do you not like rate these whiskeys in like really high? These are both award-winning whiskeys. Period. I don't care who you are or where you're from. There's no denying that. Now, affordability is a different story, but it is what it is. Listen, a lot of times I am fortunate that I get to try some of the things that are very, very expensive. And some of them are very expensive just because they want them to be. But a lot of times I feel like, look, it's okay. I mean, it's good, I guess. It's not like nothing, like it doesn't like wow me. I'm just like,
Right.
oh my God, how much is that? I can't afford it, but I can see would that be worth every penny of it, that type of thing. These two whiskeys just now, these are really good whiskeys. I mean, this isn't any type of marketing, fluff going on here.
Yeah, this
I mean,
is-
the packaging's
so?
beautiful, but it's really about the liquid.
Yeah, exactly. I don't drink the bottle of the wood packaging on the outside, but the liquid inside is delicious.
I also don't think this collab is happening again. I heard Azuma Makoto has actually gone off to make his own whiskeys in Japan.
Really?
Yeah. Because of how good
course.
this like collaboration has been going, he's decided he will go off on his own.
You know what we should do? They should just take all the bottles of that now and just give them all to us. It's like smashing them. And we'll smash them here, empty,
After I've drunk them.
empty.
Oh, yeah.
We'll smash the empty bottles. And then we'll light that other stuff on fire after we drink the whiskey.
Oh dear.
I protest differently than a lot of other
Yeah,
people.
it feels like it's very, very bougie. Yeah.
Are they going to try to do the all 12 years on the
Yeah,
Zodiac
for sure.
releases?
I
I
think
mean,
so,
that's the
yeah.
plan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I figure so. There's certainly, I think I've seen some plans for next year's.
Oh yeah,
somewhere.
What's next year? What next year?
of course.
Horse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That would be
Uh-huh.
Year of the Horse.
Really?
Nice.
I don't know what
All right.
year. I don't know what 75. I don't know what 75 was.
I don't know.
So
You either know or you don't.
no.
I only know because
don't
my
know.
kids
I
tell
think
me.
it's Rabbit, maybe.
That sounds
I think
right.
75 was Rabbit, maybe. I don't know.
All right. We got
So-
one more whiskey.
So we've got one more whiskey that we weren't planning on, but Mr. Megazone is the most generous.
Mr. Megazone.
Mr. Megazone. Professor Megazone.
Presso fare.
So-
presso fare.
This is crazy. The picture up there is a picture of my bottle. Because I've been with the company long enough that I was one of the employees that when we were sold by the McDonald family to LVMH, everyone who was an employee got a bottle from this cask, and that's mine. But I'm Scottish, so I haven't opened it. And my
It looks
plan-
like we
my
might have to
plan
take
worked.
a plane flight to Texas.
Yes, it worked. So thank you, sir. Very kind. I'm really excited.
It's the
to try
fat
this.
part. He had to wait 20 years for it to happen.
And
I
when,
tried it anytime you wanted to.
and when I finally open that, the cork's just going to fall apart.
Yeah.
You know it's going to happen. Did it? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This era of Glenmorangie bottles,
Notorious.
90% of them, the cork will just collapse on you. So, at least the label was on the bottle.
Yeah.
There was a small packet of whiskeys from that era where, and when I first came to America, they were out on bars, some of the 70s vintages, amazing whiskey, but they'd had a fault with the glue for the labels. And all over America in 2005, I was going around with a glue stick,
Fixing.
gluing labels back on, just going into nice steakhouses and gluing labels back on. It was a good look. Yeah, exactly. The best one is some of them where you just open the top and just take the bottle out and everything paper stays behind. Hey, what?
It was keeping it safe.
Yes, that's good. So I don't know really much about this at all, apart from I'm excited to
I don't know.
try
The
it.
nose is great.
It's a single cask, distilled in '87. Yeah,
It's cast strength. It's
50
I can 56.4.
56.4.
And if you can't see, there's only 346 bottles produced. This is bottle 194. So a little higher in ranking than David here.
Yeah.
David's 313.
313.
A little bit more important.
Because
David was low man on the totem pole then, though. I mean, in
Yeah.
all honesty,
Wow,
he like
that-
definitely.
he squeaked by. He could have been.
He
He
almost
could have
didn't
been
get a bottle.
345.
I totally squeaked by.
He
I
could have
was-
been 345.
I've only been with the company just long enough to get a bottle of this. So
He has bottle number 3. I think.
three.
Jeez.
So one thing I do remember from when everybody got one of these, the back, as you can, you'll be able to see on here, it has the name of the employee printed on the back label, and then hand signed in ink by the then president of the Glenmorangie company, Paul Neep. And that was so if you tried to sell your bottle, and you actually had a letter that came with it saying any employee found trying to sell the bottle will be terminated. And it happened to one person. Idiot.
What's the name?
Hopefully it wasn't
I-
Gerald.
It's the Geraldine.
remember.
Because that's who's on the back.
There's now quite a few of them on the
Yeah.
market as people have, it's many years
Well,
ago.
it's-
But yeah, 20.
Some people passed. And
Yeah.
Kids have it. They didn't sign nothing.
Totally.
They didn't sign nothing.
But someone within weeks, the one had appeared. on the
Yeah,
market
I don't.
online.
Hey, listen.
Yeah,
Kids
smart.
in college, they need money. I can get it. No.
This was back before the switch over.
The switch
Right. Good point. Good point. It was also back when we were making our labels with a Xerox machine, I think.
That looks about right. What do you guys think? Well, wait a minute. What do you guys think of this? What do you think? It's delicious, isn't it? It's really good.
So
Thank you. Really good.
thank you, sir.
Very good.
Wow.
Here's the Mega Zone.
Thanks. Cheers to my
Cheers. Ching ching.
87 though, I'm trying to think how many stills we had, what the setup at the distillery was in 87. It was pre several expansions. I'm thinking
This is probably one of the, like, not the original still, but pretty close.
we were much smaller distillery
Yeah.
in 87, really. And also, absolutely heart of the most troublesome times for Scottish whiskey, 87. Lucky Glenmorangie was making anything.
Yeah, there was a lot of mothballs in
Our
Story at
friends
that
over
time.
at Ardbeg were sitting there silent with the roof caving in and all the rest of it, as
Mhm.
were half the distilleries in Scotland at the time. We made this, thankfully.
And gave it to all the employees.
There you go. I know.
Really?
Nice.
Right?
It's I don't know what to think of it.
And for the folks in the back that can't see, this was bottled in 04, so it's a bottle that's 17 years old.
That's really good. I like that. Man, some stellar whiskeys, right? The whole way through. So, listen, I want to thank David.
Thank you. I don't feel like I've done very much. Just sat here.
That's usually what you do, isn't it? That's what your wife says. Just sort of sits there. And June, thanks to June, he brought in all these really great whiskeys for us to try. June will be coming back. We're talking about maybe doing something a little bit different with some of the whiskeys and stuff like that, where we could do something special for that. I think it would be
This wasn't special.
well, you were here, so that was special enough. David Blackmore. The triumphant return of David Blackmore, everybody. All
It's
right.
fun to be back.
This was I mean, this tasting right here was epic anyways. No matter how you slice and dice it. Hey, if you want, this will become on, it's obviously on Julio's Liquors Facebook page. You can go there. You can go to YouTube now. You can find it there. You can go wherever you get your podcasts. You can go there, such as Spotify. It's all right there, and you can pick it up. So if you're having trouble sleeping at any point, just download this and listen to this, and you'll have no problem falling asleep. No, in all honesty, it was epic. You should have been here. It was awesome.
And Harrison says cheers.
Harrison says cheers.
This
Thank
felt
you, guys.
insane.